Everybody thinks Curious George is such an American icon, and of course he is. But he was created by German Jews.
Obviously, I knew about George. I grew up in Japan reading George in Japanese. Hadn't thought about him since. And when I heard them speak, and there were these German immigrants who had fled the Nazis on bicycles with the first Curious George book with them, it was enough for me to be interested.
Curious George.
He was a good little monkey.
They've created this icon that we all love so much. There's something about that monkey, right? Whether it's in Japan where I grew up or here, in many places around the world for 75 years. So we're talking like 5-6 generations. There's something about that monkey, and they created the monkey. And as I learned more about them and I learned about their story, it's almost inseparable, right? Like who they were is why they were able to make that monkey.
We're living in France when we did the first Curious George.
At the University of Southern Mississippi. There's the children's literature collection, and there's 300 boxes of the Rey's personal archives.
We don't have children.
But you have Curious George.
Anything from their wartime journals to letters they wrote to each other. The process of how they created Curious George, so the rough sketches all the way through to the fine print. I love how Margret describes the monkey as someone that finds himself in trouble and through his own ingenuity gets himself out of trouble. It might as well have been them, describing them, especially in their escape. They literally found themselves, the night before it was too late to leave with no cars, no trains to be had, not even a bicycle, and all they had was a tandem bike.
By that time, the only thing that was for sale was a tandem.
Margret had no patience, basically, to ride a tandem bike to flee the Nazis. And he said, Hans, my husband, do something about this. And he cobbled together 2 separate bicycles out of spare parts.
By the time they fled Paris, George was a finished product.
And then that's what they rode out of Paris with. So things like that, that are very George-like in a way, their creativity, their imagination, and their approach to things really, I think, seep through into what they created, which is Curious George and those stories we read.
I'm pretty damn sure it was George who saved us there.